She thought she was just serving a customer. But one small gesture toward his disabled son would rewrite her destiny. Anna wiped the last bit of condensation from the diner's window as the rain poured heavily outside. The diner was quiet, except for the soft hum of the old refrigerator and the occasional clink of dishes being washed in the back. She glanced at the clock and sighed. Another long afternoon shift was ahead. Anna had been working at this small diner for nearly 3 years, and every day felt like a new challenge. She was tired, often hungry, and her paycheck barely covered the bills for her small apartment. On top of that, her mother's health was getting worse. The doctor's visits and medications drained whatever little savings she had. But despite all this, Anna believed in the small joys of life, in little moments that made everything bearable. For her, those moments often came from her interactions with the customers. It was around mid-afternoon, when a young boy rolled into the diner in a wheelchair, pushed by a man in a sharp, expansive-looking suit. The boy, perhaps around 7 or 8 years old, had a small backpack on his lap and a shy, sad expression on his face. His father seemed busy with his phone, occasionally glancing at his son, but mostly absorbed in his own world. Anna noticed them immediately. She had seen many customers come and go, but there was something about this boy's quiet demeanor that tugged at her heart. Anna walked over with her usual warm smile. "Hi there! What can I get for you today?" she asked gently, crouching down so she could be at the boy's level. He didn't answer at first, just stared at the menu in his hands, his small fingers tracing the words. Anna realized that he might be shy, or nervous, maybe even uncomfortable being in a public place because of his wheelchair. She didn't push him to speak. Instead, she reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a small folded napkin. With a quick twist and fold, she made a tiny paper boat and set it on the table. "This little guy is ready to sail on a big adventure," she said softly, smiling. The boy's eyes lit up for a moment, and a faint smile appeared on his lips. His father barely looked up, tapping on his phone. Anna could sense a distance between them, a barrier that wasn't just physical, but emotional. She knew that sometimes parents get caught up in work or stress, and children can feel lonely even when someone is right there beside them. She wanted to make sure this boy felt seen. "Do you like stories?" she asked, hoping to draw him out. The boy nodded slightly. Anna leaned closer and began telling a short, funny story about a little mouse who tried to ride a bicycle. The boy giggled quietly, a sound so soft it barely reached his father. But Anna noticed it, and her heart warmed. For the next few minutes, she stayed by his side, chatting softly and making small origami animals from napkins. Each time the boy laughed, Anna felt a spark of joy she hadn't felt all day. She realized that even in her own struggles, she could make someone else's day brighter. That small connection mattered more than any tip she could earn or any bill she could pay. "The father," Mr. Thompson observed quietly from his seat. He was used to having everything he wanted with just a snap of his fingers: wealth, power, influence, but he realized something in that moment. He had never seen his son laugh so freely. There was a gap between them, one that no amount of money could bridge. Watching Anna interact with his son, he began to feel a mix of gratitude and a subtle pang of guilt. He had been so busy with work, with meetings and deals, that he had missed the small moments that truly mattered. Seeing this young woman's kindness, he started to wonder if he could ever be the kind of parent his son needed. Anna didn't know she was being observed so closely. To her, it was just another day at the diner, another chance to bring a little happiness to someone's life. She refilled the boy's water glass, adjusted his napkin animals, and asked him which one he wanted to keep. The boy hesitated for a moment, then carefully picked a tiny napkin elephant. "He's my friend now," Anna whispered, and the boy giggled again. A sound that seemed to fill the quiet diner. As she stepped back to take other orders, Anna's heart felt lighter. She thought about her own challenges, how exhausting it was to work multiple shifts, how worried she was about her mother, but in that small corner of the diner, she felt a sense of purpose. She had the ability to make someone feel cared for, even if only for a short while. And sometimes, that felt more valuable than anything money could buy. Throughout the afternoon, she continued to check on the boy, asking if he wanted more juice or a small snack. Every time she approached, his eyes brightened, and a small conversation began between them. Even his father, who had been distant, found himself smiling quietly at their interactions. He noticed the patience in Anna's voice, the gentle encouragement in her eyes, and the way she treated his son as an equal, not someone to pity or rush. For Mr. Thompson, it was a subtle lesson in empathy, something he hadn't thought about in years. By the time the boy and his father left the diner, the boy waved enthusiastically at Anna. "See you next time," he called out. Anna waved back, her smile genuine and warm. She watched them go, feeling a mix of satisfaction and quiet hope. She didn't know it, but that small act of kindness had left an impression not only on the boy, but also on his father. For Anna, it was a reminder that even the smallest gestures could ripple out in ways she couldn't yet imagine. As the evening approached and the diner grew quieter, Anna continued her work with renewed energy. She realized that despite her own struggles, she had the power to change someone's day, even someone's life, with her kindness. Little did she know that this small interaction would set off a chain of events that would transform her life forever. That day, in the middle of a rainy afternoon, a young waitress had unknowingly planted the first seed of change in a billionaire's heart and in her own future. She would soon see how far that seed could grow. Over the next few weeks, the small diner began to feel different to Anna. It wasn't just a place where she served coffee and sandwiches anymore. It had become a space of connection and small, quiet joy. Every time she worked, she found herself looking forward to seeing a particular little boy in the wheelchair and his father, who always seemed preoccupied but somehow couldn't stay away. Anna noticed that the boy, Ethan, was no longer just shy and quiet. He had begun to recognize her, calling out a soft hi. Miss Anna, as soon as he entered the diner, Anna had a natural way of making children feel comfortable. She never treated Ethan differently because of his disability. Instead, she focused on what he could do, not what he couldn't. One afternoon, she placed a set of crayons and a small notepad in front of him. "Do you want to draw something today?" she asked gently. Ethan hesitated at first, as though unsure what to do. Then, slowly, he began to sketch. Anna crouched beside him, commenting on his lines and shapes, encouraging him to be creative. "Look at this," she exclaimed as he drew a wobbly little boat. "It's perfect. It could sail anywhere you want it to." Ethan's laughter started to come more freely. Anna noticed that the sound seemed to lift his spirits more than anything else. For Anna, each giggle was like a little reward, a signal that her efforts mattered. But she wasn't just helping him enjoy the moment, she was giving him confidence, teaching him that his voice, his thoughts, and his actions mattered. It was a small but powerful lesson, one that went far beyond crayons and paper, Mr. Thompson. The boy's father observed all of this quietly. He had initially thought of the visits as just a routine for his son, perhaps a way to keep him busy. But now he began to notice subtle changes in Ethan. The boy seemed happier, more engaged, and he actually looked forward to the diner visits. For the first time in years, Mr. Thompson felt like he was seeing his son's true personality. It's not just the quiet, reserved child who was often overshadowed by medical appointments and routines at home. Watching Anna interact with Ethan, he realized that someone outside of their family was giving his son a kind of attention and care he himself hadn't been able to provide. One rainy afternoon, Anna brought out a small origami collection she had prepared for Ethan. She had folded little animals, stars, and tiny airplanes from napkins, each one carefully detailed. "Pick one," she said, holding them out. Ethan's eyes lit up, and he chose a tiny paper dog. "He'll be my pet," the boy declared with a small but determined voice. Anna nodded enthusiastically. "He'll keep you company while we wait for dessert," Ethan giggled, a sound that seemed to echo throughout the quiet diner. Catching the attention of a few nearby customers who smiled at the scene, Mr. Thompson felt a mixture of admiration and guilt. He realized he had been so caught up in work, in making money, and attending endless meetings, that he had missed so many small but precious moments with his son. Watching Anna, he noticed something he hadn't thought about in years: the value of patience, attention, and genuine kindness. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She wasn't seeking recognition. She was simply being present. And that presence, he could see clearly, was something his son needed more than anything else. Anna didn't see herself as heroic. To her, it was just part of her day, part of her work, and part of the little joys that made life bearable despite her own struggles. But she also began to notice changes in Mr. Thompson. He started engaging more with Ethan, asking small questions, sharing brief comments, and even smiling at some of Anna's jokes. It wasn't much at first, but it was a start. Anna realized that her simple acts of encouragement and friendship were slowly bridging a gap that had existed in that family for years. One afternoon, while refilling water glasses, Anna noticed Ethan glance toward the window and point at the rainy sky. "Miss Anna, do you think the clouds are friends?" he asked, his small face lit with curiosity. Anna chuckled softly. "I think so. Maybe they're having a little party up there." The boy laughed, and even Mr. Thompson smiled. The scene seemed ordinary, yet it carried an unspoken significance. It was a moment of bonding, a moment where laughter and warmth replaced routine and distance. Anna had unknowingly created a space where Ethan could be himself, and his father could begin to reconnect with him. Over time, Anna and Ethan developed a small, comforting routine. Every visit had its own little traditions drawing together, folding paper animals, sharing jokes, and telling stories. Sometimes Anna would read a short story from her worn notebook, her voice animated and full of expression. Other times, she would simply sit and chat, asking about his day at school or about his favorite cartoons. Ethan responded eagerly, speaking more freely than he ever had at home. For the first time, he felt heard. And for Anna, these interactions brought unexpected happiness. A reminder that kindness, even in small doses, could have a profound impact. Mr. Thompson, too, began to reflect on his own role as a father. Watching Anna patiently guide his son, he realized that wealth and influence could never replace the simple act of being present. He started to participate more during their visits, asking Ethan what he had drawn or suggesting ideas for the next origami figure. Each small interaction felt like a breakthrough, a small piece of the bridge that was slowly reconnecting father and son. Anna noticed these subtle changes and felt a quiet satisfaction. She understood that while her life was complicated and often stressful, the happiness she helped create for Ethan and the gentle transformation she inspired in his father were things that could not be measured in money or status. They were priceless moments, small sparks of hope and joy that left lasting impressions as the weeks went by. The diner became a small sanctuary for the trio. Regular customers began to notice the bond forming at that corner table, often smiling at the laughter and the little paper creations that covered the tabletop. Anna found herself thinking more about the boy's home life, his father's absence, and the small ways she could continue to make a difference. It wasn't about changing the world. It was about touching one life, one small moment at a time, even after they left each day. Ethan would wave energetically, shouting, "See you tomorrow, Miss Anna?" And Anna would wave back, her heart warmed. The father, Mr. Thompson, began to linger longer, watching his son with a newfound attentiveness. He was beginning to understand the profound impact that simple kindness and attention could have, not just on a child, but on himself as well. By the end of that part of the story, Anna had created more than just temporary happiness for Ethan. She had planted the seeds of emotional connection, trust, and joy. She had unknowingly begun to heal a small part of a family that had long been distant and fragmented. And for Mr. Thompson, the realization had begun to take root, that the love and attention he gave to his son, inspired by Anna's example, could change the course of their lives forever. The quiet afternoons in the diner, filled with crayons, laughter, and gentle conversation, became the beginning of something bigger. Anna had shown, without even realizing it, that true impact didn't always come from grand gestures. It came from patience, kindness, and the willingness to be present in someone's life. And in those moments, a bond was forming that would soon ripple out in ways none of them could yet imagine. This version keeps the story simple, emotional, and engaging, with a focus on character development, connection, and the beginning of transformation. One evening, the diner was quieter than usual. The rain had stopped, leaving a soft mist outside, and the fading sunlight streamed through the windows. Anna was finishing her shift, clearing tables and wiping down counters, when she noticed Ethan sitting in his wheelchair at the usual corner table. His father, Mr. Thompson, was there too, but something seemed different. Ethan looked pale, his little hands gripping the edges of the table tightly, and his usual soft smile was nowhere to be seen. Anna's heart sank immediately. She could tell that something was wrong. "Ethan, are you feeling okay?" she asked gently, kneeling to speak with him at eye level. The boy tried to smile, but it faded quickly. "My head hurts," he whispered. His voice was small and shaky. Anna felt a surge of concern. She knew that sometimes children's illnesses could worsen quickly, and she didn't want to waste a moment. She looked toward Mr. Thompson, who appeared tense, unsure of what to do. The billionaire father, accustomed to solving problems with money or authority, seemed powerless in this moment. Anna knew she had to act fast. Without hesitation, Anna took control of the situation. She grabbed her phone and dialed the local emergency number while speaking to Ethan in a calm and soothing voice. "It's okay, sweetie. Help is on the way." "I'm right here with you," she said softly, placing a comforting hand on his shoulder. Ethan leaned slightly into her touch, feeling safe despite his discomfort. Anna could see the worry in his father's eyes, and she gently reassured him as well. "Everything's going to be fine," she said. "Let's just focus on getting him the help he needs." While waiting for the ambulance, Anna stayed with Ethan constantly. She adjusted his blanket, offered small sips of water, and held his hand whenever he seemed scared. She told little stories, just like she always did during their visits, keeping his mind distracted from the pain. "Remember the paper elephant you picked last week?" she asked. "He's still waiting for you to tell him a new adventure." Ethan managed a small smile. Anna could feel the tension in the air slowly lifting, not just for Ethan, but also for his father, who was now standing closer, silently watching Anna's actions. When the ambulance arrived, Anna helped guide Ethan onto the stretcher and explained everything clearly to the paramedics. Her calm demeanor seemed to reassure everyone involved. Mr. Thompson followed closely, still worried but relieved that someone competent was there to guide them. As the ambulance doors closed, Anna gave Ethan a gentle wave. "You're going to be okay. I'll be right here when you get back," she said, her voice steady despite the anxiety she felt inside. Later that evening, at the hospital, Anna stayed with Ethan until the doctors had finished their initial checks. She explained every procedure to him in simple words, making sure he wasn't scared. She held his hand, brushed his hair from his forehead, and kept him laughing with little jokes and funny faces. Ethan's small giggles returned slowly, a sign that he was beginning to feel better. Mr. Thompson, who had never seen anyone handle such a situation with this level of care, was deeply moved. He watched as Anna's compassion, patience, and confidence created an environment of safety and trust. For the first time, he realized that kindness and presence could be more powerful than wealth or influence. During the next few days, Ethan recovered steadily. Anna continued to check on him, even visiting after her shifts to make sure he was comfortable and happy. She brought small gifts, nothing expensive, just little tokens like a new coloring book or a small paper craft she had made. Each visit reminded Ethan that someone cared for him deeply, someone who wasn't obligated by family ties or money, but by genuine affection. Anna's presence became a source of comfort for both father and son. Mr. Thompson found himself reflecting more and more on Anna's actions. He had spent most of his life solving problems with money, hiring people to fix situations, and delegating care to assistants and nurses. But he had never experienced someone acting out of pure concern and compassion. Anna didn't need recognition. She didn't seek rewards, she simply acted because it was the right thing to do. That realization struck him profoundly. For the first time, he questioned his own approach to fatherhood and life. Could he have done more for his son? Could he have been present in the small, meaningful moments that truly mattered? Ethan, too, developed a new sense of trust and confidence. He had always been a quiet child, reserved and cautious, especially around strangers. But Anna's consistent care and gentle encouragement allowed him to open up. He started talking more about his feelings, sharing small stories about his day, and even laughing at his own silly mistakes. These moments of genuine connection helped Ethan feel more secure and loved. Not just in the hospital, but in life in general. As Ethan's health stabilized, Anna returned him safely home, ensuring he had everything he needed for comfort. Mr. Thompson, who had accompanied them in the ambulance, finally spoke to Anna privately. "I can't thank you enough," he said, his voice low but sincere. "You were there when I didn't know what to do. You saved him. And somehow you helped me too." Anna simply smiled. She didn't need praise. Seeing Ethan happy and safe was enough, but she did feel a quiet sense of fulfillment, knowing that her actions had made a lasting difference. The incident at the hospital marked a turning point, not just in Ethan's life, but in the family dynamic as a whole. Mr. Thompson began to see his son in a new light. Realizing how fragile and precious each moment was, he started spending more time with Ethan, asking questions, listening to him, and even trying to engage in playful activities they had never done before. Anna's influence had subtly reminded him that love, attention, presence were far more valuable than money or success. For Anna, the experience strengthened her belief in the importance of compassion. She realized that even in her own difficult circumstances, she had the power to change lives. Her simple acts of kindness, smiles, stories, small gestures could ripple out in ways she'd never imagined. She hadn't just helped Ethan recover physically. She had brought emotional comfort, reassurance, and a sense of safety to both him and his father. In the following days, Ethan's recovery continued steadily, and the bond between father and son began to grow stronger. Mr. Thompson was more present than ever. Learning from Anna's example how to connect meaningfully with his child, he would watch Anna interact with Ethan and take notes in his mind, realizing that patience, attentiveness, and unconditional care were lessons he had never learned before. Meanwhile, Anna returned to her routine at the diner, but something had changed. She felt a quiet satisfaction and a sense of purpose that went beyond her daily struggles. She had proven to herself that one person could make a difference, even in the smallest, seemingly ordinary ways. And though she didn't yet realize it, the events of that evening had set the stage for a much larger transformation in all of their lives. By the time Part 3 concludes, the foundation had been laid for a deeper connection between Anna, Ethan, and Mr. Thompson. Anna's calm and unwavering presence during a moment of crisis had revealed her inner strength and compassion, qualities that would eventually reshape the course of the family's future. Ethan had experienced safety, comfort, and joy in ways he had never known before, and his father had begun to understand the true meaning of love, care, and emotional presence. What started as a small act of kindness at a diner had now blossomed into a life-changing moment. Anna had not only helped a sick child, but it also sparked a subtle but powerful shift in a father's heart, a shift that would forever influence how he related to his son and how he viewed the world around him. The ripple effect of one compassionate act was beginning to take hold, and no one could yet fully imagine the lasting changes it would bring to all their lives. A few days after Ethan's recovery, life began to feel slightly different for Anna. The diner was the same, with its familiar smell of coffee and fried food, but there was an undercurrent of change in the air. Anna couldn't quite put her finger on it, but she felt a quiet sense of anticipation. She continued her routine, serving customers with her warm smile, helping children with their coloring books and chatting with regulars. But she also kept thinking about Ethan and his father, and the way their eyes had seemed to reflect gratitude, trust, and perhaps something more, something that suggested her presence had made a real impact. One afternoon, while she was taking a short break in the staff room, Anna noticed an envelope slipped under the door. It was unusual. She hadn't received letters in years. Curious, she picked it up. Inside was a neatly written note, with no return address, along with a small card. The note read, "Your kindness has made a difference. Please contact the office listed below. There is something we would like to discuss with you." Anna's heart skipped a beat. Her first thought was that it might be a scam or some mistake. Yet the tone of the note was sincere, and the handwriting was careful, deliberate. She folded the note slowly, feeling a mix of excitement and anxiety. After a moment of hesitation, she decided to go. She wasn't sure what to expect, but something told her it was important. The address led her to a professional office building downtown, sleek and modern, far removed from the small streets and quiet diner where she usually spent her days. When she entered the office, she was greeted by a receptionist who guided her to a small, elegant meeting room. The walls were lined with shelves of books and awards, and there was a sense of calm authority in the room. A lawyer soon joined her, offering a warm smile. Anna listened carefully as the lawyer explained the situation. An anonymous donor had noticed her acts of kindness, particularly her dedication and care toward Ethan. The donor had arranged for all of her mother's hospital bills to be fully covered, a sum that would have otherwise taken on months, even years, to pay. Additionally, the donor had offered her a full-time position at a foundation dedicated to helping children with disabilities. The position came with a steady income, medical benefits for her mother, and an opportunity to make a larger impact on many lives. Anna was stunned. She had never imagined such a thing could happen. Her thoughts raced. Could this be real? Could someone truly change her life so drastically because of simple acts of kindness? Anna left the office with a mixture of emotions, disbelief, gratitude, and cautious hope. She walked slowly down the city streets, thinking about everything she had endured, the long hours at the diner, the worry for her mother, the constant struggle to make ends meet. And now, through a series of small actions that she hadn't thought much about at the time, her world had shifted. She felt tears welling up in her eyes. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to imagine a future where she didn't have to worry constantly. A future where she could focus on making a positive difference in the lives of children like Ethan. When Anna returned to the diner the next day, Ethan and his father were there as usual. The boy's face lit up at the sight of her, and his laughter filled the corner of the diner like a little burst of sunshine. Mr. Thompson watched quietly, but this time his expression seemed different. There was a softness, an unspoken acknowledgement that Anna's presence had changed their lives as well. As Anna approached the table, Ethan held out his small paper elephant, now slightly worn from days of play. "This is still my friend," he said proudly. Anna smiled warmly, feeling her heart swell. She realized that the bonds she had formed were deeper than she had ever imagined. Later that afternoon, Anna received a call from the foundation she had been offered a position at. They wanted her to come in for an official meeting to discuss her role and responsibilities. Excited but nervous, she prepared herself for the next step. The foundation specialized in supporting children with disabilities and their families, providing resources, education, and emotional support. Anna's experience with Ethan had made her realize that this was more than just a job. It was a chance to use her compassion, patience, and understanding to help countless other children and families who were struggling in ways she had once known too well. During the first few days at the foundation, Anna was introduced to the team, and she began to learn about the various programs and initiatives. She quickly discovered that her empathy and natural ability to connect with children were invaluable. She worked closely with families, teaching them small strategies to communicate with and support their children. She led workshops on simple activities that encouraged children to express themselves, just as she had done with Ethan at the diner. Every time a child smiled, laughed, or showed confidence in a new skill, Anna felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She realized that her life, which had once felt burdened and limited, now had a clear purpose and meaning, despite her new role. Anna never forgot the diner or Ethan. She made sure to continue visiting, sharing little moments and stories with the boy and his father. These visits became a bridge between her old life and her new one, a reminder that even small acts of kindness could grow into something far greater. Mr. Thompson began to open up more, asking her questions about the foundation, expressing gratitude, and even sharing insights on how he could be a more present father. There was a sense of mutual respect and understanding, a bond formed through shared experiences and genuine care. One evening, after a long day at the foundation, Anna sat in her small apartment. Reflecting on the events of the past weeks, she thought about the letter, the meeting with the lawyer, and the incredible opportunity she had been given. She thought about Ethan's laughter, the trust in his eyes, and the silent gratitude of his father. Anna realized that life had a way of rewarding those who acted with kindness, even when they didn't expect anything in return. She had only wanted to help a small boy feel happy and safe, but in doing so, she had transformed her own life completely. Anna also understood the deeper lesson that had emerged from all of this, that one person's compassion could ripple outward in ways that no one could fully predict. Her small acts of kindness, unnoticed at the time, had led to medical bills being covered, a career opportunity, and a profound impact on the lives of a child and his father. She had been given the chance to step into a new life, but more importantly, she had seen the power of human connection, the ability to bring light into the lives of others. Even in the darkest moments, as she drifted off to sleep that night, Anna felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. Her struggles were far from over. Her mother still needed care. She had new responsibilities at the foundation, but she knew that she was no longer alone. The kindness she had shared had returned to her in ways she couldn't have imagined. It was a reminder that compassion, empathy, and dedication were forces capable of changing lives, not just for those we help, but for ourselves as well. By the end of this part, Anna's life had entered a new chapter. She was no longer just a waitress at a small diner. She had become a beacon of hope for children and families in need. Her acts of kindness had been recognized and rewarded, not for the sake of fame or wealth, but for the pure human value of caring deeply for others. And while she didn't yet know the full extent of the changes to come, she could feel that her world and the world of those she had touched was forever different. Anna's journey showed that life often rewards those who act with selflessness and sincerity. One simple act, comforting a small boy, giving attention, sharing kindness, had set in motion a series of events that transformed her own life and the lives of those around her. It was a quiet but powerful reminder that ordinary people could create extraordinary change, and that true impact often begins with just one small gesture from the heart. Months had passed since Anna had received the life-changing letter from the foundation. Her world, once filled with worry and struggle, now held a sense of purpose and direction that she had never known before. She had settled into her new role at the foundation, working as a coordinator for programs that help children with disabilities and their families. Every day, she interacted with families who faced challenges similar to those she had once experienced herself. Her own experiences, her empathy, and her natural ability to connect with children made her an invaluable part of the team. Anna quickly realized that her work was more than just a job. It was a calling. She spent her days organizing workshops, creating activity plans, personally supporting children who struggled to communicate, play, or simply feel included. She taught them small crafts, read stories, and guided them through exercises that encouraged confidence and creativity. Each time a child smiled or learned something new, Anna felt a deep sense of fulfillment. These were moments she had never dreamed she could experience in her previous life at the diner. Even with her new responsibilities, Anna never forgot Ethan and his father. She continued to visit them regularly, not out of obligation, but because their bond had grown into something deeply meaningful. Every time she walked into their home or met them at the diner, Ethan would run to her with a wide grin, holding out the little paper animals she had taught him to fold. The boy's laughter was contagious, filling the spaces that had once felt empty and quiet. It was clear that Anna had become more than a friend. She had become a part of their family in an unspoken but undeniable way. Mr. Thompson, the billionaire father, had also changed significantly. Before meeting Anna, he had been distant, preoccupied with work and financial matters, often leaving Ethan's emotional needs unattended. But watching Anna care for his son had opened his eyes. He began to spend more time at home, asking questions, playing with Ethan, and truly listening to him. He learned small but powerful lessons from Anna, lessons about patience, empathy, and the importance of being present. The father, who had once only known wealth and status, now understood the true meaning of connection and love. One afternoon, Anna was leading a creative workshop at the foundation when she noticed Mr. Thompson quietly observing from the back of the room. He had come to see how the programs worked and to understand the impact Anna was making on the children. The father, who had always been analytical and practical, seemed genuinely moved as he watched Anna interact with each child, giving them attention, encouragement, and respect. He could see how much she inspired confidence and joy in children who often felt overlooked or underestimated. Mr. Thompson realized that Anna's kindness and dedication had not only changed Ethan's life but had also created opportunities for countless other children to experience care and love in ways they might never have had before at home. Ethan thrived under the combined care of his father and Anna. He grew more confident, expressing his thoughts freely and showing excitement about learning new things. Small victories, like learning to paint a picture or fold a new paper animal, were celebrated with laughter and pride. Anna encouraged Ethan to explore his interests and talents, helping him discover skills he didn't know he had. She also guided Mr. Thompson on how to continue supporting his son, offering advice with gentle encouragement and practical suggestions. The bond between father and son strengthened each day, built on love, attention, and understanding, a bond that had once seemed impossible to achieve. Anna's influence extended beyond just Ethan and his father. At the foundation, she became a mentor for other staff members, showing them how small gestures of kindness could transform children's lives. She trained volunteers, organized community outreach programs, and shared her personal story as inspiration for others. People began to recognize that her success wasn't measured by money or status, but by the positive impact she had on the lives of those she served. Anna's life had become a powerful example of how one person's empathy and dedication could ripple outward, touching countless lives in meaningful ways. Despite her busy schedule, Anna made time for small personal moments that reminded her of her journey. She often thought back to the diner, to the rainy afternoon when she had first met Ethan, and to the small paper animals they had folded together. Those simple acts of care, which had seemed ordinary at the time, set the stage for a complete transformation, not only in her own life, but in the lives of a child and his father. She realized that no gesture of kindness was ever wasted, no matter how small it seemed. One evening, Anna and Mr. Thompson sat together, watching Ethan play with his paper animals on the living room floor. The father turned to Anna with a soft smile. "I don't know how to thank you," he said quietly. "You didn't just help my son, you changed me. I've learned what it really means to be a father, and I owe that to you." Anna shook her head gently. "You've done all the hard work too," she replied. "I just reminded you of what you already had in your heart. Love, patience, and attention. Those are the things that matter most." Mr. Thompson nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and understanding. Ethan looked up at them, his eyes bright and filled with trust. "Miss Anna," he said, holding up his paper elephant, "you made my world happy." Anna felt tears welling up in her eyes. She realized that her life, once filled with struggle and worry, had been transformed in a way she could never have imagined. Her small acts of kindness had grown into something far bigger than she could have anticipated, a life filled with purpose, joy, and meaningful connections. Over time, Anna continued to expand her role at the foundation, creating programs that reached more families and children. She developed workshops on art, storytelling, and emotional expression, teaching children how to communicate their feelings and gain confidence. Parents began to share stories of how Anna had helped their children come out of their shells, laugh again, and feel seen. Anna's reputation as a compassionate, effective mentor grew, but she remained humble, always focused on the children and families she served rather than recognition or fame. The changes in Mr. Thompson were equally remarkable. He had become a more present, engaged, and loving father. He actively participated in Ethan's growth, celebrating small victories, attending workshops, seeking advice from Anna on how to best support his child. The bond between father and son, once distant and fragile, had grown into a relationship of trust, understanding, and genuine affection. The lessons Anna had taught through her care and example had not only healed Ethan's emotional needs, but had also reshaped the entire family dynamic. As Anna reflected on her journey, she realized that life had a way of rewarding those who acted with sincerity and kindness. She had started as a young waitress, working tirelessly to care for her mother, offering simple gestures of compassion to a child she barely knew. Through those gestures, she had transformed not only Ethan's life, but also his father's, and ultimately her own. Her journey showed that true impact often begins with small, heartfelt actions and grows through consistency, patience, and empathy. By the time Part 5 concludes, Anna had truly embraced her new life. She was no longer defined by her struggles or her worries. She was defined by the positive change she had created in the lives of others. Her connection with Ethan and his father continued to flourish, and her work at the foundation allowed her to extend that impact to countless other families. The young waitress who had once faced hardship and uncertainty had become a source of hope, inspiration, and tangible support for children with disabilities and their families. In the end, the story illustrated a powerful truth that one person's kindness can create a ripple effect far beyond what they can imagine. Anna's dedication, compassion, and courage had changed lives that in turn changed hers. She had discovered the extraordinary potential in ordinary actions and had learned that the smallest gestures of care, love, and attention could leave an everlasting mark on the world. Through her journey, she had not only found her own purpose and happiness, but had also shown that true human connection and selfless kindness could transform lives forever.